Jasmine Greenaway, and I'm here with Mark. Hey, Mark.
Hey, how's it going?
Great. Today, we're going to talk to you about a particular Azure Cosmos DB design pattern called the attribute array. Now, this is a design pattern that's more focused around how your data looks, the structure of your data. And the reason why is that this is going to be really key for when you're querying your data to make it a little bit less expensive in terms of RUs to grab your data when you need it. So the way it works is that you have a set of name value pairs, and when you have data that has kind of like similar attributes. So in this particular example, we'll be looking at data that is a set of products. So normally, when you look at your, when you're storing your data, you might think of storing your products in this particular way as we're looking at in our attribute array example here in the design patterns repo. Now, the way that this is organized is that we have obviously the product name, the type, this category, price, of course, but notice that the size small, medium, and large properties or attributes are sitting right here. Now, you can run into a couple issues here, a couple challenges here in terms of grabbing the data, especially when you want to do some very specific where clauses where you maybe need to grab a particular size. For example, maybe you just want the size large. Now, we're going to take a look at how to apply the attribute array here in a moment here, but this is kind of the goal that we're looking to achieve here with attribute array, where we have our data or the particular attributes that we imagine that we might be querying more often, such as the sizes in this example, to be in this particular array. And this will make it easier and a much cleaner query, as well as be a little bit less expensive for us. So let's take a look at this example. So what I have here is a simple .NET console app that is using the Faker library to create some synthetic data for me. And so in this first example here, we're taking a list of data or a list of items or objects and inserting those and throwing those right into our attribute array collection, or our attribute array container. So let's take a look at what we do when we throw in when we apply the attribute array design pattern here. So notice that for each product that we have, we create a product size attribute here, and we of course throw that into our array. Another interesting thing that I want to point out here is that, and going back to our repository here real quickly, notice that the attributes here are size small, size medium, size large. Now we can run into a couple issues here, right? Because say another developer comes by here and there's an adjustment that's made and someone wants to make an insert into a data or insert a new product. They might not know that the way that you've defined these attributes were as like size small, size medium, size large. So you can run into some issues where you might have to end up cleaning your data in the long run.
The other thing that could happen too, Jasmine, is they could add a new size, but then if you do it in this model or with this design, you have to change your model necessarily, right? Whereas if it's in an array, just add like extra large. Maybe you got some larger customers or whatever, or even extra small, right? And you can do that much easier without having to change the design or the model for your product in here.
Yeah, that's a great thought there, Mark. That's absolutely right. So let's go ahead and take a look one more time at the code. Like I mentioned before, with attribute array, we go ahead and for each size, we go ahead and, for each product, we go ahead and add a size into an array here, and then we are good to go. So let's go ahead and run this code here. So I'm going to do a quick .NET run here. And one of the first things our sample does is kind of lets us know what's about to happen. And one of the first things that it's going to do is kind of give us that create some products for us and generate some data for us here. So as we can see, we have 7 products here, and we can see that's similar to that initial structure that we had. So we have this product, and we have size small, medium, large, right in the the object for each of in our collection. Okay. So let's go ahead and press enter again, and let's take a look at applying the attribute array pattern to the same set of documents. Okay, and here we go. So now we can see that each product has its own size, as well as we can see we have applied count here as well. And here, just to generalize this, or just kind of finish this up, here we're applying the attribute array. Now, this has already also been inserted into Azure Cosmos DB. So we're going to take a look in the portal and take a look at our data here. So I'm going to go ahead and just refresh this. And we already have a couple of products in here, but let's take a look at an old version of our data here before we look at this. So kind of very similar to what we saw in the console, we have our size small, medium, large data right here, all in one in our document. And of course, this is before we have applied the attribute array design pattern. And here it is our final result with our attribute array. Now, I have a query here that I want to run and we're going to kind of take a look at kind of the impact of applying this design pattern to your data. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight this. I'm going to run this. And this is us querying the data, the previous version of our data. And we can see that, of course, it's returning everything. We can kind of see that's here. So let's kind of look at let's take a look at how much that costs here. So that costs us 3.22 RUs. Quite small. This is quite a small data set. But let's go ahead and take a look at querying this with our in our attribute array. You can see it's a little bit cheaper, 3.04 RUs. But the other thing here that's really key here, and I feel like really makes a difference here, is look how much cleaner our query is. We had this really big query that can get more and more complicated with a bunch of ORs. Like, what if we wanted to search for even more sizes, like Mark mentioned? What if we want to add an XL size here? That's just going to make our query much larger. But we can see here from line 13 on down that this is a lot cleaner. It's a lot easier to manage, and honestly, in my case, or in my opinion, it makes a little bit more sense for me to be able to navigate as a developer myself.
So and I think it's just going to be more flexible, right? Like this really kind of keys in on some of the schemaless nature or schema agnosticism, I guess, for Cosmos. Like you could extend this. What if you had a product catalog that didn't have like shirts or clothing? What if it had other attributes that didn't fit sizes? Like why have hard-coded properties or attributes in a product when you can just have an array and then maybe use a type property in there? So it could be, attribute of size, attribute of weight, attribute of whatever. And then you could basically have a much easier time kind of querying whatever it is you've got in there. Because with that size, that first query there, you have to dynamically kind of construct that thing. And that's going to get pretty complicated, I think.
Exactly. Well, so that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover on attribute array. And if you are curious about how you can apply attribute array to your NoSQL database, specifically Azure Cosmos DB, we'd love for you to try this attribute array yourself. Try the sample out yourself by visiting the repo at the short link at the bottom there. Thank you so much for watching.
Yep. Thanks, everyone.